I'll tell you what, first of all, my name is Jim Harry, and I want to welcome you to the beautiful land of Gooch. Welcome. This place beautiful. Look, man, we got a beautiful day. We got all kinds of stuff going on for you. We need to get some of these candidates in and out of here sort of quickly. So before we really start the official, before we really start our official presentation, we do want to give our candidate for U.S. Senate a chance to speak because he's got a statewide race. And I'm telling you, we have not had a chance to hear from Daniel Gade. You're going to get a great chance this time. Mark Warner said he was not a career politician. He said he was running 2 times. He's now running for his 3rd. I want you to put your hands together, the man who's going to defeat Mark Warner for the U.S. Senate.
This afternoon. It's a joy to see you. I'm excited about this race. Let me just give you a quick status update on this race. First, the importance of this race could not be overstated from what you are already imagining. Here's the status. The status is, if by some horrible stroke of bad luck, because it's 2020, we lose the presidency and we lose the Senate, the stakes could not be any worse than what's going to happen in 2021 with the Democrats in charge. Because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to make the District of Columbia a state. And they're going to get 2 new senators when they do that. And then they're going to change the rules of the Senate so that things can go through with no filibuster at all. And then they're going to pack the Supreme Court. And then all the freedoms that we've fought for, all the freedoms that guys like Nick and I and all the other veterans in this room have fought for, all those freedoms are gone. Because they're going to come after freedom of speech and freedom of worship and freedom to keep and bear arms, the right to protect ourselves however we see fit. All of that goes away. And that's not what I fought for. It's not what I'm fighting for right now. And so as we go into this last 9 days of the race, I just want to encourage us all. Run and don't grow weary. Mount up on wings as eagles. We can do this together, folks. This is the year when we can pull this off. We can flip the 7th district seat. Yeah. How about that? And in my race, we're seeing amazing progress too. 2.5 months ago, I was down by 22, and that's not great. 2 weeks after that, I was down by 17, and that's better. 2 weeks after that, I was down by 14, and 2 weeks after that, I was down by 11, and 2 weeks ago, I was down by 7. And as we know from Virginia, in 2016, President of the United States, Donald Trump was polling down by like 13 the day before the election, and he lost Virginia by 5. So in Virginia, 14 is 7 and 7 is 0, so I say I'm tied. How about that? But listen, this race is for all the marbles. And Mark Warner is for all the stuff the left is for, because he is simply a rubber stamp for his party. He's simply a rubber stamp for his party. I've beaten him badly in 3 debates in a row. He's left out of there all 3 times like a scalded dog. And part of the reason he's left is because he can't answer hard questions like, if you're not for defunding the police now, then why did you defund the police as governor in 2002? And he's like, well, procedural move. Okay, wrong move. How about that, mister? So as we look at this race, this is entirely winnable. I'm going around the whole Commonwealth today. I started out in northern Virginia someplace. We've had a couple of stops before this. Now I'm here, then we're getting on a plane. We're going out to the Shenandoah Valley. Then we're coming back and we're picking up again. So this is a race that is busy. I like to joke around that I'm busy as a, one-legged band and a, right, I know, haha. Everybody loves that one. But the other one is, it doesn't take 2 legs to kick ass in Washington, and that's what I'm planning to do. But the story that illustrates how together we all are in this, and those of us who've been in combat, we know there's nothing good about combat. There really isn't. But the only thing good about combat, the one sort of good thing, is that you know as an American soldier in combat that if you get wounded, your friends are going to help you. And if you get killed, they're going to do everything they can to bring your body back home to your family. And so the second time I was wounded in combat, I was taken by a Marine Corps helicopter, even though I was an Army guy. picked up by a Marine Corps helicopter and taken to a Navy surgical facility. And when I got there, I'd bled out completely. My blood pressure was 60/0. And they gave me all the A positive blood they had stored, and it wasn't enough. So then they went to the mess hall and they said, if you have A positive, we could use your help. And 25 sailors and Marines got up from their dinner and they came over and they donated their fresh blood into bags. And it went into my body still warm from the donor. And what's awesome about that story in a political sense is, number one, it's true. And I have pictures to prove it. And number two, what's great about that story is it illustrates what can happen when we're all focused on the same mission. When we're all together and we're willing to give sacrificially to that mission.
Yes.
And so for some of you, I've seen your trucks and I've seen your nice watches. I've seen your fancy boots. Some of you, that might mean give a little money. And if you can give a little money, please, please do it. Actually, give a medium amount if you can give a little bit. And if you can give a large amount, give a large amount. That's what it's going to take to do this together. But if the couple hundred people that are in this room decide to really buckle down for the next 9 days and knock doors and make phone calls and take out your phone in your pocket and send texts, then we can win this race. We can win independents over. We can win even some Democrats who are sick of the direction their party has taken. And we can do this together. And at the end of the day, on November 3rd, when I go into the voting booth and vote for myself, what's real weird about that is voting for yourself. So the way I choose to think about it is this. I'm not voting for myself. I'm voting for all of you. I'm voting for all of us. And I hope when you vote for me, you won't see just me on the ballot. You'll see that you also are on the ballot. And we can get there together. So I'm really grateful for your hard work. I'm grateful to be on the ticket with guys like Nick Freitas, who's a dear friend. I'm proud to be with you today. And I just ask for your prayers and your support as we get through this last 9 days of the race and go on into saving our country. Thanks so much, everybody.
One more time, Peake, please. Our next senator from the city of Virginia. I don't know, a lot of people that I talk to don't even realize this. Do you know what the margin of victory was for Mark Warner 6 years ago? 1%. 1%. And a lot of people think that this is an unwinnable. Are you kidding me? 1% last time, and we've got a different candidate this time. And this candidate right here is going to be our next senator for the state of Virginia. The only thing Dan was talking about was blood, and I think my blood type sort of preordained me to my attitude. My blood type is B positive, okay? I don't see problems, I see areas of opportunity, and I'm telling you what, this past week, I don't know about you, this has been an amazing week. It started off Tuesday as Nick Freitas schooled our current Congresswoman in a forum. Man, Nick was awesome. He was on fire. And then Thursday night, when the president came on against Bozo Joe, I don't know, man. I thought the president did an incredible job. What do you think? And then I can't wait till Monday, how sweet it is when we confirm our next Supreme Court Justice. It is going to be awesome. So I'm just telling you, we got a lot to be excited about, but we still got a little ways to go. One of the things we do as Republicans at each and every meeting is we start off the same way. We thank our Almighty Father, our Creator, the man who made it all possible. We pledge our allegiance to our country, and we also make sure everybody's reminded of what we stand for. So right now, I'd like to introduce Pete Greenwald once again to say our prayer and open us up with a word of prayer, if you would.
I want to say, let us now, my fellow Republicans, let's go humbly before our God and Creator, the Maker of the heavens and the earth. Let us go before our Father who has endowed us with those inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So with heads bowed and eyes closed, let us go before God in the throne of mercy and grace. Lord, as Republicans, we still believe that faith in you, as recognized by our founding fathers, is essential to the moral fiber of our nation. Lord, that is not a passive faith. That is an active faith. I pray that faith in you would move us to action. Lord, we are a nation divided. Many call evil good and good evil. We have turned against the thin blue line, those who lay down their lives to keep the peace. We have sacrificed our children on the altar of choice and materialism. We have denied the truth that you created us man and woman. We have rejected your design and your perfect plan for marriage as one man and one woman for life. Deliver us from evil, Lord. Give us the courage to shine the light of your word into the darkness. In the next 10 days, in this home stretch, I pray that we would all finish well. Help us to always fight the good fight. Give our candidates Nick, Daniel, Vice President Pence, and President Trump the strength to finish the race. Lord, we are in a spiritual battle. I pray all our candidates put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, they may stand. I pray that they would put on the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, that they would fit their feet with the gospel of peace, and take up the shield of faith, put on the helmet of salvation, and take up the sword of the Spirit, which is your word. Bless and protect them and their families. As Abraham Lincoln, our first Republican president, challenged us in the second inaugural address, I now pray that with firmness in the right, as you, Father, give us to see the right, we would finish the work we are in. Father, you call us to prepare the horse for the day of battle, but victory rests with you. Lord, as I ask you to bless the hands and us as we enjoy this food, I pray that you'd give us the victory, Lord. Give us the victory here in the 7th Congressional District and across Virginia and across America. I ask all these things in the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
I just want to share, a verse I think is good for all our candidates. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So let's just claim that right now. Dear Lord, just thank you thank you for Daniel, and thank you for Nick. And I just pray you give them boldness, give them courage, Lord. And Lord, just protect them and protect their families. And Lord, just thank you for this time together. Amen.
Thanks, Pete. At this time, I'd like to bring up the delegate from the 56th District, my delegate, John McGuire. Oh, here he is. Okay. Put your hands together. John's going to do the pledge. John, I'm happy to have you, man.
Hey, before I do the pledge, Susan Lascalette said I could say a few words, and Nick knows you should not give an elected official the opportunity to say a few words at a time. First thing I want to say is everybody here say Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett.
Listen up, she gives me hope. I know God always gets the last word. This country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, and as long as everyone in this room puts God first, as long as we bring everyone together, and the last week is the hardest week. If we do that, let's get a round of applause. Dan Gade's will be the next senator. Nick Freitas, who crushed Spanberger last week, is going to be our next congressman. And the greatest president in the history of our country, President Trump's going to get 4 more years. Now listen up. With much enthusiasm for the greatest country in the world, put your hand on your heart and face our flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
One of the things I love to see is unity, man. You know, I mean, John was one of the candidates for running for the congressional nomination. Our next person was also somebody running for the congressional nomination. You know, everybody's standing firmly behind our nominee in Nick Freitas, and I appreciate that very much. At this time, Andrew Knaggs has been an absolute delight to get to know this gentleman for the past year. I'd like to bring him up to make sure everybody knows loud and clear exactly what we stand for.
Thank you. Hey, before I get started, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here and for what you're doing. As John said, we've got a lot of work to do between now and November 3rd, but I've got high hopes, and I know that we've done what we've needed to do to get there. So thanks for fighting, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in victory on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Goochland Republican Creed. We believe that faith in God, as recognized by our founding fathers, is essential to the moral fiber of the nation. that all individuals are entitled to equal rights, justice, and opportunities, and should assume their responsibilities as citizens in a free society. And that the free enterprise system is the most productive supplier of human needs and economic freedom. That fiscal responsibility and budgetary restraints must be exercised at all levels of government. That the federal government must preserve individual liberty by observing constitutional limitations. And that peace is best preserved through a strong national defense. Thank you all.
I'm loving it already, man. We haven't even hardly gotten started. I'll tell you what, right now I'd like to bring up Brian Folsom for the singing of our national anthem. Yeah, give it up for Brian, man. Come on.
You guys can stand. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I cheat a little bit. There's nothing I take more serious than the national anthem, so I never go without having my lyrics ready. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, nor the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, nor the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, all right. I tell you what, right now we want to introduce a couple of the chairmen. I got a chance to meet John Myers for the first time, 86, 85. Wow. John was running for the House of Delegates in Henrico County, and I met him and I was just like, this guy's the right guy for the job. And I've luckily gotten to know him even more over the past few years. He's an absolutely wonderful chairman of the Goochland County Republican Committee. Give it up for John Myers.
Fellow patriots, welcome to Goochland County, the true center of the universe. As Jim said, this event is jointly sponsored between the Goochland County Republican Committee and the Culpeper County Republican Committee. We welcome you, we hope you had a great meal, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the program. I want to thank our co-sponsors, I want to thank all of you for coming. Any of you who have not volunteered to help out on election day or before election day, contact myself or Stan Korn or Susan Lascolette. We will give you something to do on or before election day. Now, in a minute you're going to meet my friend Marshall Keene. And originally I was planning on challenging Marshall Keene to a beer drinking contest. but fortunately, See, he's a young buck. And I've probably got 30 years more experience on beer drinking than Marshall. So, I mean, it was going to be a shutout. So we didn't have the contest. But anyway, you going to introduce?
You can bring up Marshall if you
Marshall,
want to do it on your roll, man.
So the real story is me and Susan are sitting in the, Susan Laskale, where's she at? Susan, right here. So the real story, John, is me and Susan was sitting in the back of one of Ben Slone's meeting in Spotsylvania one night, and it was going on and on, trying to figure out how much money we're going to give Nick and whatever else. And Susan says, we need to have a joint venture. Should we be asking for some money? So I'm looking at Robin Horn as the WESA chair. I said, we don't need to ask Ben for any money. We'll just do it. And we went back and forth. I said, the only caveat is if Culpeper was going to help sponsor this event, we're going to bring alcohol. So Louise in the back, you can't have a party in Culpeper without alcohol. So when you come to Culpeper, we like to have it. We have a good time, and it's all because of the fine folks with the committee. Again, I want to thank Goochland, John, and Susan, and everybody else for giving us the opportunity to host an event. I'm not quite sure, as long as I've been chairman or involved with the party, that we've ever co-hosted an event with another committee. So it's a great opportunity for us to network and to move forward. And you know, we do ask for some things in return, like a Reagan dinner. We have probably one of the best Reagan dinners in the district. So everybody who's out here, we are going to be planning another Reagan dinner in February. Everybody from Goochland should be buying tickets, right? Right, John? But anyway, there's three people here tonight that I think that we that I want to really thank for being here, and that's Peter Greenwald, Andrew Knaggs, and John McGuire. Where'd John go? Probably about 4, 5, 6 months ago, we had these gentlemen at a forum in Culpeper, and one of the most important questions we asked, are you going to support our candidate? And each one of them made a promise they would support them, and I want to thank them all three personally for doing what you've done over these past couple of months to support our candidate, Nick Freitas. So thank you for that. You know, we always hear about Republicans, we eat each other, and you guys have proven that that's not the case. You know, again, it speaks volumes for you guys being here. All right, with that being said, I got to thank my committee, you know, for all the work they do. Richard Roberts and everybody here in Henrico and Chesterfield, they like to say Culpeper is the gold standard for what we do. The reason we are that gold standard, I know I'm probably going to get looks here in a little bit, you know, because we're not Robin's already looking at me. But, the reason we do so well, and I'm proud to say that we do well, is because of our membership. Dave Settle's here, Sherry Settle, Dewey, Janet, Clive, Nancy, their daughter, the Richmonds. You know, we have a committee, and look, I'm looking right here to Lorraine. There's so many people I could thank from our committee that makes things happen, all right? What makes our committee great. And I just would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my committee, because we are the gold standard. I want to thank you guys for doing what you do. So,
thank you.
With that being said,
one of the things that's been interesting that I've really enjoyed over the past several years is getting to know a lot of the people in the 7th District. It's cool to see a lot of different committee members. You know, you mentioned Robin. Robin's from Louisa. We appreciate her being out here. We got the Amelia County Chairman. Martha's back there. We got people from all over, and it is just really cool to see how this whole district has come together, and it's come together under the leadership of one particular person. Ben Slone is the chairman of the 7th Congressional District. He's done a tremendous job, and I do want to bring him up, and I want you to give him a big round of applause if you would. He's got a couple of things he needs to say too. And he never wears shoes. I love this man.
Except in church. Hey, first of all, thank you all for being here and the opportunity to speak. I don't know if you know, I'm actually a stand-in for someone else who's not quite here yet. But if you're willing to listen to me for a few minutes, boy, am I willing to speak. So thank you for the opportunity. Look, it's always said, and we've used the moniker in this election, this is the most important election of our lifetime, right? Right. When has there ever been a challenge? Now, look, I know you're looking at this face and you're saying, he's a young dude. But I actually remember the riots in '67 and '68, including Watts. I remember all the turmoil at that time, that was nothing compared to what we're going through now. And that's because there is a Marxist element that has taken over another party. And if you remember back to the Constitutional Convention, not that I was there, but back in 1787, when Benjamin Franklin walked out in front of the hall, and there was a woman there. Her name was Mrs. Powell. And Mrs. Powell asked, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us? A monarchy or a republic? You remember his answer?
Yes.
A republic if you can keep it. That simple phrase meant this is a woman who not only cannot hold public office, she cannot vote. But he challenged her to do that. He then left her to her own devices. She became friends with our first president. And after the first 4 years, she said to George Washington, President Washington, you need to stay on. This is not a monarchy, but our republic is too fragile. So he stayed on. She wrote letters about this. After the next 4 years, she said, it's time for you to go. And I'm going to buy your horses and your carriage. And she did, as a symbolic act. And that's when he left the presidency. We're in the same position now with our republic. Now, some would say our current president is a little abrasive, he's a little rough. Well, he is a New Yorker. Let's be honest. I have a business partner who's from New York. Oh, there's some New Yorkers back here. But the simple fact of the matter is New Yorkers play tough. Think about, this is a man who built skyscrapers in New York City and elsewhere around the world. That is a non-trivial task. We are in a race here this year that every one of us has to participate in. This is a race where we have to do everything we can. If you have family, friends, neighbors, call them. If you have money to donate, donate to the candidates. Nick needs money. Daniel needs money. The president needs money. They are playing in a game for keeps. And we have to do something. If you can phone bank, phone bank. If you can door to door, door to door. Anything you can do, put up a sign. This is for keeps. Because once we go down this path, there's no return. And Donald Trump knows that. We've seen that in what's come forth in recent hard drive exposés, right? We've seen that with what's come forth with various individuals speaking about what has happened. It's very clear. The number one trending, I'll say, query on Google just recently was, how do I change my vote? That came after the debate. So we're in a situation now, and there are two types of polls, by the way. There's public polls and there's internal polls. And those are different things. Public polls are part of the media, which is part of the Democratic Party, which is part of the motivation, right? But we're locked into this struggle. Anarchy on one side, totalitarian authoritative rule on one side, and the republic right down the middle. We're Republicans. We support the republic. We have to support the republic. That's all there is of us. So please, get engaged for the president, get engaged for Daniel, get engaged for Nick, and let's bring it home, because there is no other option. The other option is totalitarian control, and we can't go backward from there, because once you're there, it's very difficult. It's the most difficult form of government to overthrow, and we don't need to be there, because we've got the greatest government in the world. So I will say to all of you, it's the republic, and let's keep it. Thank you.
Somebody warned me not to give him the mic. I don't know. You know, when I moved to Goochland, I've only been in Goochland for a year, and I'm happy to be here. It's awesome. I love this place. But I was a little disappointed leaving my state senator, Siobhan Donovan. She's done a great job for us. But it was really cool when I realized who my state senator was. And I couldn't be more pleased. You know, earlier today I was talking to Bryce Reeves, and Bryce Reeves is a state senator, of course, from up near Nick's area there. They're good friends. But I tell you, he had a lot of high things to say about this gentleman too. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for your state senator, Mr. Mark Peake.
Hello, Goochland County. How are you guys doing today? Thank you all for coming out. It is always great to come out here to the best run county in the universe. And they've got the trophy and the plaques to prove it. So you've got a tremendous board of supervisors, tremendous school board, one of the best sheriffs in the country. You guys do it right. Soil and Water Board too does an excellent job. So thank all of you guys out here, what y'all do in Goochland County and making this one of the best counties in the Commonwealth and in the country. If only the country and the Commonwealth were run like Goochland County. But right now, sadly, it is not. And these are dangerous and desperate times. You saw what happened in Virginia when we lost in 2019. And what the Democrats have done now that they've got governorship, House of Delegates, and state Senate. Abortions are easier, and buying guns is harder. They're soft on crime and hard on law enforcement. That's their whole agenda. That's what they've done in the Commonwealth in less than 1 year. If we don't get out there and make sure Nick Freitas goes to the United States Congress and Daniel Gade goes to the Senate, and we re-elect Donald Trump, that's what's going to happen to our country. And that's what's coming up in 10 days. That's why it's so important that y'all are here. Donald Trump, I agree with most everything he says, but one thing he's wrong about. I am not tired of winning yet. Are you? I want to continue to win. I want to win, 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 and I want to win bigly. How about you guys? You've got it in your graph to make sure that we get out there and do that. By showing up here, by giving money, by giving your time, by volunteering. That's how we win. That's how we win Virginia for Trump, Gade, and Freitas. That's what we've got to do. And I'll tell you, and I go back to what Marshall Keene said from Culpeper. Welcome everybody from Culpeper. I don't represent you, but you're still a great county, and you got great representatives. But to have Mr. Greenwald, Andrew, John, to come out here. When you run in a hard-fought primary or a hard-fought convention, a lot of times you've seen our party get torn apart, and we lose that race because there's division. What you guys are doing here to support Nick and to get behind him, that's what we have to do as a party. We have to unite. We have to support our candidates. We have to get out there and win. Nick is busting his butt. He's working as hard as he can. Daniel Gade is busting his butt. He's been all over the Commonwealth and will continue to be the next 10 days. So, Nick, it's been a pleasure to work with you in the House of Delegates. I'm tired of you. Why don't you go to Washington? And I wish John McGuire worked so hard for you guys in Goochland and the other parts of the 56th District, Lee Ware. So you've got a great county administration and got a great county worker. We do the best we can in the General Assembly. Right now, we're in the minority, but after we elect these guys, in 10 days, start looking at 2021. Thank you, Goochland, for all y'all do. Thank you, Culpeper. Let's go vote.
He's pretty good. I like that, man. That's good. Yeah, how many of you guys watched the forum on Tuesday night? How many of you watched the forum? Did you see a clear-cut winner at all? Who was that clear-cut winner? I think Nick Freitas was. As a matter of fact, after I finished watching that, I sat down and I thought about one of my biggest heroes. Anybody who knows me knows Ronald Reagan's probably my biggest hero. And I thought about a quote he had, and I might be messing up the quote, but it's something like this. He said, "It's not that our liberal friends on the left don't know anything. It's they know so much about so little." And I think that was proven on the stage on Tuesday. I'm excited to welcome the next congressman from the 7th Congressional District of Virginia, future Congressman Nick Freitas.
all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Culpeper. Thank you, Goochland, for hosting. And not to correct Jim, because I love Jim, but the quote was, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. You know, there's... the forum we had was great. We were really excited about that. It was the only time that she would agree to debate us. Would not agree to any sort of debate, any sort of forum, nothing publicly. That was it. She agreed to a private forum the day after, which was interesting because I think she said some things in that private forum that she never would have said in a public forum. But the thing that I don't think gets highlighted enough, right? And I've spoken to a lot of groups here in Goochland and Culpeper. You've heard me say this a lot, but this really is different this time around. It really is different with respect to the election that we're talking about and the fundamental difference in worldview. I'm not talking about the fundamental difference in tax policy. Fundamental difference in worldview and what is the role of our government in our lives. And if you look, again, it's not that they're subtle about it anymore, they're very open about what it is that they want to achieve. And if you look at how much they're willing to work to achieve, the amount of money what they're willing to donate, the amount of time that they're willing to put into it, the amount of doors that they're willing to knock. I was joking around with somebody once and I said, you know, for conservatives, our priorities generally go like God, family, country, work, politics. And the only reason why we do politics is to keep the government out of God, family, country, and work. Right, but for the other side, that is not the dynamic. It's almost as if government is God, family, country, work. And so the stakes are incredibly high for them because this is the way that they will solve the world's problems. And more what they've showed us is that this is the way that they're going to fix us. And if that is not terrifying to you, I don't know what is, or what should be at this point.
I am watching a major political party in this country, of all countries, advocate for a degree of government interference I never dreamed would be possible in my lifetime. And it's not as if guys like myself, or Pete, or John, or Andrew, or Daniel Gade don't know what it's like to have your country send you all over the world to a number of hot spots, and they all have one thing in common, that at some point the people in that country, whether they gave it up, lost it, or never had it in the first place, they are all living under a degree of government control, interference, and ultimately oppression over their lives. Every single one of them. Never got sent to a country because it was too free. And I look at this now. No, this is offensive to me. Because what we have in this nation, it's not like we arrived here on boats and it was just this.
Amen.
It was built. People sacrificed, they died. There are headstones not only all across this country, but all across the world, for people that were willing to recognize that there was something special about this country. And not necessarily because they were born here. Many of them fled to get here. They fled the sort of countries, the sort of policies, the sort of oppression the Democrats want to bring here. Their policies have such a record of failure that only people that have never had to truly live under it could ignore them. But I watch how hard they work for what they want. I watch how much time, how much effort, how much money they put into it for what they want, or what they think they want, the idea of what they want. One of the most fundamental differences from the top of this ticket to the bottom of it is how we see people and how we recognize the limitations of what government can actually accomplish. You know, Thomas Sowell said it best. He goes, when the people start to expect from government that which it cannot possibly achieve, only liars will suffice as candidates. Because it's an easy argument to make if you're on their side. Of course, they're just going to give you more stuff. They're going to fix it. They're going to have another program, another study, another group, another bureaucracy, another benefit. At the expense of what? That never gets asked. You will never see a moderator ask that question unless someone is talking about cutting taxes. This is about a trade-off, one of the biggest trade-offs that a free people could ever possibly make in the course of their history. Do we still believe that individual liberty, that private property rights, that self-determination, the constitutional limitations on government power, do we still believe that that is the essence of what it is to be an American? It's not our skin color. It's not our gender. It's not any of the other things that Democrats are constantly trying to separate and divide us along. It is that core belief that you are beautifully and wonderfully created in the image of God, and that you have a right to pursue happiness, to find purpose, to find meaning. And the government's job is not to micromanage that. It is not to stifle it. It is not to control it. It is to leave you free and to protect your pursuit of it. That has always been what is special and unique about the United States of America. And it is up for grabs. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. I never thought I would see tens of millions of people, of my fellow countrymen, willing to part with the most beautiful idea. Not just beautiful because it produces good economic results, but because it truly respects what people are, who people are. But ultimately, that is what we're deciding, is what sort of people do we want to be. That is what this election is about. And I've already made up my mind. There is no benefit that they can promise me. There's no false sense of security that they can guarantee me that will ever cause me to part with the hard-fought freedom that was gained for this country by generations that came before me. And yes, we're going to tell you, you got to get out there and vote. You got to get your friends to vote. Yes, you do. And that is the least of what is required right now. This is about standing up and making an argument for what we believe. Because they sure as hell aren't afraid to do it for what they believe. It is incredible to me to watch a Republican student, a conservative student on a college campus, terrified to share their beliefs. How did we ever let it come to this? So this is the part right now, and I've said this before, the line I'm drawing in the sand, that is not to show them how much farther they can go. It's to show them where we start.
That's right.
We always have this term that we use about defending what it is that we believe in. I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why we're in the situation we are right now is because we have been on nothing but defense for decades. Amen. Defense is done. It's offense time. Because it's not just about getting back the presidency. It's not just about keeping the Senate. It's not just about winning back the House of Representatives. It's about what do you do when you've actually done those things. And that is something that Republicans have forgotten about for far too long.
That's right.
So when we do take it back, it's not just going to be about a conversation for how do we hold on to power. No, how do we use power to do what we should have done all along, which is give it back to the people. And I want us to be just as passionate about our freedoms, about our liberties, about our vision, as they are about theirs. Because here's one of the things that truly separates this, and one of the biggest difference between the two parties. Democrats are running on this campaign of, you don't want Republicans to run your life. You know what I say to that? I agree. I don't want a political party to run your life. But the difference is that I don't want either party to do it, and they do want their party to do it. And what we need to demonstrate to them at this point is that not out of anger, not out of malice, but out of love for what we have in this country. And everything that is represented, not only to our people, everything it is represented to people all over the globe yearning to breathe free. That we are going to stand up and we are willing to pay whatever cost, we are willing to endure whatever sacrifice to ensure that we preserve it not just for us, but for everyone that will come after us. That when it was our moment, of testing, we proved worthy. That's what this is about. That's what we have to do. Because we all have a debt. We all have a debt to everyone that came before us and sacrificed in order to get us to this point. And if we do it, if we go forward boldly and unapologetically advocating for the kind of freedom and human dignity that we believe in, then I have absolutely zero doubt that the best days, the greatest deeds of this country are still ahead of us for future generations to secure. So thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping the faith. And as we go forward from here, I want you to remember Isaiah, where he is standing there and he's listening as God is contemplating, whom shall we send? And Isaiah stands up and says, here I am, send me. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you for everything that you will do. Let's go ahead and achieve victory on November 3rd so we can secure the country that we want for our children and for future generations. Thank you.
One thing Nick made a very good point of saying, which I thought was awesome, is for us to think about that the other side is so open. They want open borders. They want immigrants to come here. Yet they don't get the fact that the immigrants come here to run away from where they want to take us to. That doesn't make any sense to me. Manny, are you in here? Where's Manny? Manny's back there. Manny, somebody was telling me your story, and you're a great person to talk to about that, because you left exactly what they're trying to do. Now, I'm not calling you on stage, but I'm telling you, go see Manny if you want to hear a good story about that. Manny's the man. Go see him. Give him a round of applause. Manny, I want you guys to go see him if you want to hear a good story, Manny. We're running out of time, but I just want people to know who you are. This is Manny. And Manny, come on, real quick. Tell us just your story real quick, because I thought it was awesome.
Which part?
Where you're from and how you got here.
Okay. I hate to start a conversation by saying, hold my beer, but that's what I did. I was born in Cuba 67 years ago, November 17th. I've been in America since November of 1968. I was lucky because I turned 15 in November, and at the age of 15 you would not be allowed to leave the country because you were military age 15 to 27. So I barely made it. I left in June and I turned 15 in November. But I think the story that has resonated the most is, recently we've had a lot of attacks on our Second Amendment rights. And there's a memory that I have of my grandfather. I had a really close-knit family, and I had an experience that I hope we never have, which was, I remember the day the military came to my grandparents' house and told my father they were there to collect his guns. And I was probably maybe 10 years old, but I've never forgotten it. And my grandfather walked in, they lived in a big house, and walked him all the way to the back where he had the gun cabinet. And they took the guns and they said, Mr. Alverez, if you ever need to use them, if you want to go hunting, you can come and check them out. We'll have them for you at the police station. He knew damn well he could never do that, because if you go and check out the guns and they wanted to eliminate somebody, that would be the day that person would be eliminated. And now you have your gun to do it with. So that was one of the memories, and it stuck with me forever, because that was the first time that I ever saw my grandfather with a tear in his eye. And they were immigrants too, and they had gone to America, to Cuba, just like people came to America. They had built a family business. They had a furniture business in the city where I grew up, and had worked really hard at it, and lost it all. The government took every bit of it. They gave him a little retirement and sent him home. Then they came and took his guns. And I remember the day also that my sister and I were walking to school in the morning, and there was a policewoman with a machine gun, AK-47 on her lap, in a folding chair in front of my father's store. And there was a seal on the door. So we don't want to get there. And I know when I tell people this, they say, we're not going to get there. We haven't had a revolution. Venezuela didn't have a revolution. They had an election. And they elected the wrong person. And they brought in that person, and he changed the voting requirements. No more voting IDs. They allowed anyone to come into the cities and vote. What do they have now? Do you know, actually we're ahead of Venezuela in one sense. Our candidate, Democratic candidate for president, promised the other day that he was going to kill the oil industry. They didn't say that in Venezuela. But do you know that Venezuela right now doesn't have a single refinery operating? Venezuela has the most oil reserves in the entire world, and they don't have a single refinery operating because the system doesn't work. If you give people everything that they think they need, eventually they don't need to work. And you take out the incentive for them to go out and work. They did the same thing they did in Cuba, where they felt that the people in the cities didn't know how to work the fields. So they sent them out to the fields to do work. And they brought in the farmers into the cities to run the businesses. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to plant corn or even harvest it. And those farmers didn't know how to run a business. And it destroyed the economy. I was out cutting sugar cane. And what one farmer told me was that we were destroying the sugar cane, because you have to cut it a certain way, and if you don't, it won't grow back. So those fields that we cut were probably destroyed. So every year they claimed, oh, we're going to have X number of tons of sugar next year. It never materialized. Cuba, since Fidel Castro, never produced the amount of sugar that was produced in Cuba before Fidel Castro, with worse equipment, with oxen wagons. And so the system, the socialist system, just doesn't work. And I have I'm very fearful. I really don't think Joe Biden's going to be there more than a couple of months, if that long. And I think if you watch the debate, you can tell. I mean, he was starting to get to the point where he was going to lose it. And I think we're going to get Kamala if they get elected. And I know that she's a strong socialist. And I think that we'll be going down a path that will, as Jim said, we're not coming back. So we need to vote. I've already voted. I don't know how many of you have voted. Oh, good. Most everybody. So vote, and let's keep our fingers crossed to get Nick and Daniel, and especially my buddy Trump.
Thanks, Manny. That's what we're talking about. These people come here for what America is, not what they want to make America become. That's the difference. And we got to fight for it, okay? We've got to fight for it. It's not enough to take a stand. You got to move to make something happen, okay? You got to be involved. Right now, I do want to call up Andrew Knaggs. Andrew has been kind enough to agree to say a few words. You know, we've heard from our U.S. Senate candidate. We've heard from the next congressman from the 7th District. We've heard from the 7th District Republican chairman. And Andrew's going to come up and say a few words about our president. I'm telling you what, this is a fight, but this is a fight we're going to win. Andrew, come on up here, man. One more time for Andrew Knaggs. This man is absolutely amazing. We're glad your son is here, too.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to ask you all a question. Why are we here? Why do we put the effort into winning. You're absolutely right. We're doing this because it matters. This is not just our team against the other team. As Nick said, this truly is about worldview. So we've all heard this story about Benjamin Franklin and a republic if you can keep it. We've heard it before, but if you think about what the Founding Fathers were conceiving of when they actually drafted the documents, our founding documents, and they started out with the Declaration of Independence talking about the freedom of every man. The reason why they did that was because they were appealing to the sovereignty of all Americans, future Americans, as human beings and as citizens. And why did that matter? It's because they wanted to preserve and establish the legitimacy of the government that they were trying to establish. So they appealed to our sovereignty as a people in order to make sure that this new government, this new republic, was legitimate. Well, I'll tell you, that is what is on the menu right now. That is exactly what this election is about. Those two things. Our sovereignty, the fact that we will not bend the knee to any centralized government. That we are citizens, and as such, we're sovereign. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the legitimacy of this form of government, this republic. Because the other thing that they understood was that the republic needs to be preserved. That's what each election is about. That's why I signed up to serve. That's why Nick, Dan, John, Pete, many of you who served, because we knew it was about the preservation of this ideal, this experiment. When we think about our forefathers, our spiritual forefathers for some of us, our actual ancestors for many of you in this room, over 600,000 Americans died during the Great War between the states in order to preserve this republic. And yet, many of us, sadly, can't take a little bit of time out in the evening to make a few phone calls, knock some doors. Now I'm not here to shame you. I know we all have our own lives. I know that there is, that many of you are working hard and laboring in order to make sure that the president and our slate of candidates win. But we cannot lose focus right now. I think it was Adlai Stevens that said, "Upon the plains of hesitation lie the blackened bones of those who at the dawn of victory laid down to rest and in resting died." Let that not be us. Keep pressing, keep fighting. Talk to those low propensity voters. Understand and have faith that many of us who support the president, who care about this great nation, may not be registered, may not have a way to get to the polls. We have to make sure that we are making it absolutely possible to get everyone to the polls that we possibly can. And I know many of you already raised your hands when Manny asked how many of you already voted. I'm going to the polls on November 3rd. I just like the tradition of that. But before I leave the stage, I need to talk about our great president, President Donald J. Trump. And by the way, my question, when is the Reagan Day dinner going to be the Reagan Trump Day dinner? Can we do that while he's still in office? There you go. There you go. We'll work on that.
Okay.
So many of you already know that I was a Trump appointee. I served in the Trump administration for 2 years. I was the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Combating Terrorism. And it was an incredible honor after having served in combat, being a Green Beret, and then going to law school and doing all of that stuff. It was a great honor to have the administration call me and reach out and ask me to serve the president. I will spare you all of the details about what I did day to day, but I do want to tell you a little bit about the thought process that went into my accepting. Because I was in private practice, I built my business, had a portfolio of clients, and things were going very well. Well, my wife and I, my son who's here with me, by the way, Wesley, say hi, please. There he is. Wesley Knaggs, 2032. You heard it here. You heard it here first. So, we were down in Hanover County. We were in Montpelier. We'd been there for about a decade. We'd chosen to raise our children there. We believed in the people. We believed in the freedom that living in that community afforded us. And the thought of moving to Northern Virginia made us nauseous. And I looked at my wife after I got that first call and I said, "Hon, can we do this to our children?" And she is, many of you will get a chance to meet her at some point soon. She is, one of the first things I noticed about her, we've been married for 22 years, is her confidence, her poise, her resolve. And she's not one to waver in the face of a challenge. And she looked at me and she said, "You know, hon, I'm not sure." And I said that didn't help. But then she said, you know, of course the honors and all that stuff, but she said to me, "We believe in this president. If we pass on this, when will we have the opportunity to serve a president like this ever again?" And this was in early 2000, spring of 2017. And at that moment, after thinking about it, praying separately, collectively, and working through all of the math, all of that was downstream. At that moment, we made the decision that we would serve. And that was one of the best decisions of my life. I am proud, and by the way, I had friends that said, "Look, you're going to have Trump on your resume for the rest of your life. Are you sure you want to do that?" And I said, "Hell yeah." So we jumped in, both feet, 2 years. If you want to talk about what I did, we can talk after this, but I will tell you, it was an absolute honor. I had the ability to see what the president means when he says, "America first." Many of you have already heard me say this while I was on the campaign trail, but I will tell you all again now. When you think America first, you're leaving out two letters, an N and an S. Because what animates this president, President Trump, is Americans first.
Yeah.
He truly cares about the citizens of this great nation. He cares about the nation that we, the country that we are leaving to our children and our children's children. And I have every faith and confidence and President Donald J. Trump, and you should too. I know that's why you're here. And anytime I ever hear someone say, oh, but the tweets and the vulgar language, and first of all, I really haven't heard much of the vulgar language, but we love the tweets. I don't know about you. My wife and I get a kick out of it. It's not about that. What it is about is we have lost our national discourse. We've lost the ability to look at the other side and believe that they're acting in good faith. I'm sure you've heard that before. Well, it's true. So we are going to have to fight, roll up our sleeves, and be aggressive, and have a champion who is not afraid to be aggressive, be dirty, but ethical, on our behalf. Because if we don't do it now, because previous generations shirked their responsibility either knowingly or unknowingly. But I will tell you what, we are here now and we must act.
That's right.
And this president, President Donald J. Trump, will do that for us. We must support him, support Nick, Dan, and the rest of our Republican candidates across the board. Talk to our neighbors, talk to the people in your churches, talk to people on the street, bring them with you, and share your passion, your belief in this president so we can get it done. And as I said before the creed, so that we can look at each other and know that we left it all on the field and embrace each other in victory on the other side of November 3rd. Thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing for the additional time, and God bless you all.
We appreciate it very much. I'll tell you what, man, this has been a wild day. It's been cool to see how many of our leaders are here, how many elected officials, how many just hard-working people there are. One of the things a lot of people might not know about, if you're not really involved in it, is the Republican National Committee for each state. There is a man and there is a woman that represents each state on the Republican National Committee, and they proudly represent us. And we are so pleased to have our National Committee woman here with us from Virginia right now. Please put your hands together for Patti Lyman. Patti, come on.
Hello, hello, Red Virginia. I just drove from Red Virginia up in Front Royal, where we had a great crowd of people there too. But it was very, very special for me to be able to be here today. Something is happening. I don't know if I'm the only one feeling the earthquake, but the earthquake is going on, and it's an earthquake for President Trump and for everyone who supports his agenda. I've been really privileged to meet some great people as your National Committee woman, other members of the RNC. I'm in touch with them all the time, and they are feeling the excitement in their states. Frankly, I can feel it coming through the television when I'm watching a rally, when I'm listening to the president speak. So we have momentum that is moving in a powerful, powerful way. This year, more than any other year, I've been annoyed by everyone wanting to predict what's going to happen. Oh, well, that's going to happen. Oh, that one's going to win. Oh, what does the polls say and everything? Well, when it's over, we'll know what happened, but I don't believe any of the polls, none of them. Don't listen to them. They are meant to discourage us, just like they were back in 2016. But this has been a year of unforeseen, intervening events, one after the other. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away and there being another Supreme Court opening. And by the way, Amy Coney Barrett is going to be seated on the Supreme Court very, very soon. I was privileged to practice constitutional law for a number of years. I have friends that know Judge Barrett. She is just as stellar as we think she is, and that is a major victory. Then we had the president getting COVID. oh my gosh, how's this going to affect it? Now we have all this other stuff going on with Joe Biden. How's that going to affect it? There will continue to be intervening events between now and November 3rd. But what we do is we redouble our efforts. I heard someone say once, we work like everything depends on us, and we pray like everything depends on God. And if we do that, it's going to come through. On a serious note, I remember back in 2017, I would get up and give speeches and talk about the miracle that we had in 2016 when the president was elected. And I would say to people, y'all, last November we almost lost the country, but we didn't. Well, here we are again. And to hang on to our country, to hang on to who we are, we must re-elect President Trump. Joe Biden has announced what he plans to do. One of the things he plans to do, he wants to implement the entire leftist agenda and call all of it nationwide COVID restrictions. That is going to permeate everywhere. He can implement the entire Green New Deal and call it COVID restrictions. He can implement full gun confiscation and call it COVID restrictions. He is being very open about what he plans to do, but he's made it very, very clear that what he wants to do is have us say goodbye to America. Free-born citizens with rights are a threat to the left, and they are worried. And you know what? They should be worried. They should be worried. This is an opportunity that we've never had before. We're going to show the world what and who America is. America, the 8 years that we had with Barack Obama and Joe Biden, that really wasn't America. And what was shown to the world during that time was disgraceful. What we have now is a true leader of the free world who has exceeded every expectation that I ever had of him, and my expectations of him were very high. He has gone so far beyond that. Right now, the choice is very simple. Don't be ashamed to defend our president. He has given us the best record we possibly could ever speak about. He's given us the golden key. Before, we had to trust he was going to be great. Now we know it. So I encourage you to get out there, be bold. There are many, many, many more people who support us than you think. And I don't care how many signs I have to put up in front of my house in the People's Republic of Fairfax. I don't care how many times they debate them. My signs are going to go up and up and up and up. A friend of mine is an Assemblies of God minister, and in her seminary studies, one semester she had a professor who taught the entire semester on one phrase in the Bible. And he taught the whole semester course on the phrase, in the fullness of time. And he went all through the word, explaining the significance of in the fullness of time. When I think about our president, I look how in the fullness of time he was put in the right spot at the right time. When I look at our tremendous congressional candidate, Nick Freitas, and I look at the life that he's lived, and I look at the sacrifices he's made, and I look at the strength of character that he has brought forth. I don't know how many of y'all were in Newport News when the president was here, but if there had been a roof over that airport, Nick would have blown the roof off. That's how fantastic he was. He is raised up for just such a time as this. The other side is very, very nervous, and y'all have every reason to be extremely proud of him. And every time I hear him speak, I understand why you love him and support him as you do, and it's time to redouble those efforts. The same for future Senator Daniel Gade. We have a winning ticket going for us here. I have never been prouder of the people that I got to vote for this week when I went and I early voted. By the way, when I early voted, I followed the poll worker right over to the machine to watch her put both of them in and watch them register, okay? You got to watch, folks. I've never been prouder to do that. So thank you all for being the true red Virginia that we need. We're not going to win Northern Virginia. We don't have to. We just need to get our share there. But we have got to go off the charts in the rest of the state. So you guys are the linchpin in the state. I love coming to the 7th District. I love the way that y'all have pulled together here in this congressional race. And the real Virginia is red, and we're going to prove it this year to our president. Thank you.
She permeates red so much it comes out through her hair. How about that? I think that's red, man. I'm telling you what, we're almost ready to wrap up here. We got to talk about a couple of things. I do want to say one thing. We keep allowing the Democrats to dictate the narrative, okay? They call themselves, they say what they're pushing is socialism. Young people hear the word social, they're like, hey, I'm on social media, that's awesome. It's not socialism, it's communism. Let's call it what it is, okay? And when they call themselves progressive, that sounds like it's moving forward. Well, they're oppressive, they're depressive, they're regressive, they're anything but progressive, okay? So we need to make sure we remind everybody of that and make sure that we're doing the right things. Okay, yeah, Chuck, I don't know how many of you guys had a chance to meet Chuck. Come on up here for a second, man. This man right here, was it 2 years ago? Was it last year, 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Man, I'm telling you what, this guy impressed the heck out of me. I got a chance to get to know this guy. We got so many military people coming out of the woodwork over here. And Chuck, I'm glad you're here, man. I want you to have a chance to say a few words too, man.
Outstanding. Thank you all. Thank you all. Don't we have the greatest president in the world? Donald Trump, he's going to win, and Nick Freitas is going to win, and Daniel Gade is going to win, and all of our tickets going to win. Let's give them all a round of applause again, please. So my name is Chuck Smith, and I'm a candidate for Attorney General, not this year, next year. But I tell you, we're going to lead in the footsteps of all of our great Republicans, and we're going to be right behind President Donald J. Trump as he's reelected. I'm here today. I've come here from Front Royal, Virginia, but I won't lie to you. I was doing the speeding thing. I was trying to get here before you left. I was going really, really fast, and I'm so glad I made it. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Listen, we need to send a clear message, not just that we're behind our president and we need to get over this foolishness, but we need to send a clear message that they will not take down our monuments. They will not take down our statutes. They will not take down our military bases. They will not take down our Second Amendment. They will not take down our police officers. They will not take down our president, and they will never take down America. So help us God, right? It is the Constitution or it is nothing. It will be the Constitution or it will be nothing. We need to make sure that we let Nancy Pelosi and the runaway Congress know. We let Mr. Wannabe Blackface Governor, Mr. Wannabe Blackface Herring, and we also let the runaway General Assembly know that laws do not give us our rights. We are Americans. We were born with rights. God did it, right? The Constitution doesn't give us our freedoms. We're born free, born with freedoms. God did it. God has helped us build this nation. And it looks like the devil himself is trying to tear it all down. And that's why I'm here today to tell you, join with our president to let people know that we've got to stop the socialists. We've got to stop the anarchists. We've got to stop the globalists from continuing to take God out of the classroom, God out of the courtroom, God out from the halls of justice, and the Constitution off the mantle. We've got to stop the socialists and the globalists from continuing to try to redefine America, remake America, redo America as if their copy of the Constitution is a glorified comic book, and as if their other copy is a giant erasing board. Our message has got to be clear, that we've got to stop them from trying to take away our Second Amendment rights, trying to take away our rights to worship our God in our churches and in our synagogues all across America. We've got to send a clear message that we need to stop the socialists and the globalists from trying to give away our rights to vote, our rights to drive on our highways, to people who constantly violate our laws, entering the United States when they want, where they want, how they want, illegally, as if they are the citizens, somehow we are the ones illegal. We've got to send a clear message. This is not the United States of the Democratic Party. This is the United States of America. And this is not one world order. This is one nation under God. It is not the land of hopelessness, lawlessness, chaos. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave. Spell it. Law and order. Rule of law. And a border wall which keeps crime out, keeps drugs out, keeps terrorism out, and keeps Americans safe. I know we need to have a conversation about the China virus. I know we need to have a conversation about crazy Kamala and crazy Joe Biden. But I'll tell you this, the next Attorney General of Virginia is going to be pro-America, pro-Virginia, pro-Trump, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and a card-carrying 100% supporter of our men and women in blue. So help us God. I know we need courage. And so the next Attorney General of Virginia will be an 0311 ground pounder Marine who enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1970 at the height of the Vietnam War when nearly everyone else was running away. But I didn't stop there. Your next Attorney General will be a retired Navy JAG commander, retired after 26 years of combined military service, active, inactive, and reserve. I represented officers, enlisted, and command, served as a prosecutor, a special assistant United States attorney, and a command services attorney. But what's most important is that we need to get our copy of the Constitution and take it over to Mr. Herring. Yeah. We need to get our Constitution and take it over to the General Assembly. We need to let them know that the next Attorney General of Virginia will be a lawyer who's practiced 41 years. And what does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, that is more years than anyone who's ever run for the office of Attorney General in the 400-year history of Virginia. What am I saying? We're coming prepared. We're coming behind Donald Trump, and we're coming to take America back. So help us God. I leave you with this. I know I'm here late, so I don't want to keep you long. But if the defense of America, all that we love, all that we dream, all that we pride, lives nowhere else. If the defense of our values, our views, stand nowhere else, they stand right here, right now, with me, with you, with us. Join with us, because we're not going to turn around. We're not going to give up. We're not going to give in. We are not going to surrender. Not our values, not our vision, not our faith, not our police officers, not our Second Amendment, not our president, not 1 yard, not 100 yards, and even though I'm hoarse, not one damn inch. We're going to hold America. We're going to hold our flag, and we're going to stand our ground, not just for our president, Donald Trump, but for our children, but for the future of America going forward. And I don't care who comes. You can let them all come. I tell people all the same way, all the same thing. Martin Luther King can come back himself, the founders can come back, but when they come back, they will see us right here, standing right here, holding on to the flag. And they will hear us saying, this is our country, land of our birth, not just theirs. This is our country, grandest on earth. I, Chuck Smith, pledge thee my allegiance to you, America, the birth, for all of us. God bless you. God save the Commonwealth. God bless America. Thank you so much. Stay strong for Donald Trump. God bless you all.
Wait a minute, Chuck, before you go. I want somebody to get a picture of this, okay? Because I want you to face me. Chuck, my last name is Herring. I'm a member of the Herring family, and on behalf of the entire Herring family, I am here to tell you I have a copy of the Constitution. I'm going to take this to Mark, and I'm going to make sure he understands and reads it. And on behalf of the entire Herring family, it's time for a new Attorney General of the state of Virginia. And I wish you the very best of luck, my friend. I love that guy. He's awesome. I'm not a big fan of Mark, though. Sorry about that. Thank you all so much for coming out. Are you ready to elect Nick Freitas to Congress, Dan Gade to the Senate, and Donald J. Trump to the presidency of the United States? Let's go out and do it. November 3rd is just around the corner. Thank you for being out here. We really appreciate it.